The TVR brand is a manufacturer of lightweight, puristic and driver-focused sports cars. Most notably, a TVR is recognizable just by its extraordinary, unmistakable looks. Another reason that made TVR stand out was a series of purposely built engines, including the brand's first own V8 powerplant. It was no ordinary engine, but what makes it so different and why did they even bother with it when everybody else advised against it? The truth is that TVR, like many other brands from British Islands, were thriving thanks to the famous and utterly reliable Buick-sourced Rover V8, present in the TVRs since 1983. A wide range of displacement from 3.5 to 5 litre was made, and its power output was enough, although given the engine displacement, the power density was limited. The sound and reasonable service costs cut it though. News to be worried about emerged in 1991 when rumors spread about the Rover being acquired by BMW in the near future. Peter Wheeler, the owner of TVR, saw a need for a replacement solution out of fear that Germans would shut the production of the Rover V8. The engine was a core item of most TVRs of the era, so Wheeler's concerns were definitely in place. Following a discussion with Al Melling of Melling Consultancy Design, Wheeler envisioned two things: a high power-to-weight ratio engine and a power unit able to sell separately to any third parties with similar goals. Joined by TVR chief engineer John Ravenscroft, they began work right away. Melling knew a thing or two about engines, and even Peter Wheeler himself attended the development. That's where the AGP name comes from. Al, John, Peter. TVR being TVR, the engine was designed with enjoyment and power in mind, reminiscing a race engine. Al Melling designed an F1 engine for a Lola T97/30, which was a 75-degree V8. Some of its aspects were used to mark the engineering mindset during the TVR road car engine development. In the beginning, the V-angle was carried over to join the party of the unusual 75-degree V-engine family, like KTM, Honda, Mercedes and Tatra. The block with heads, made entirely of lightweight alloys, featured width liners to accommodate over-squared cylinders. Additionally, the 86mm stroke crankshaft was of a flat-plane design to enhance the hunger for revs and power. Its single overhead cam heads with sequential fuel injection and individual throttle bodies took care of the appropriate amount of air and fuel inside the cylinders. Pistons and conrods were forged and camshafts were made of billet steel. The AGP8 was finally built, to say the least. Although the application of 2 valves per cylinder only may not seem fancy enough today, the new power plant was exceptionally efficient in making horsepower. The peak power of 360 horsepower was to be found at 6500 rpm, and it excelled in making lots of torque too. A portion of 433 Nm at 4500 rpm out of a 4.2 litre is a reasonable amount, and that was just the beginning. Soon came a desire for even more muscle, and so the V8 was bored out to 91mm with a slightly higher compression ratio. The intake runners went now directly to the opposite banks, resulting in 420 horsepower at 6750 rpm and a healthy figure of 550 Nm of torque at 5500 rpm. On the other hand, this engine can release a decent amount of cheaper horses by placing shorter intake runners. The Red Rose factory option cranked out as much as 440 horsepower. The power increase was found in reshaped head ports, a high compression ratio, possibly about 12:1, and a 97-run octane fuel map with a switch to allow a 95-octane fuel to be used as well. This variant revs over 7,250 rpm and makes 545 Nm of torque, an incredibly high ratio of over 121 Nm per liter. The engine was only placed into the then new TVR Cerbera from 1996 up to 2003. It was an amazingly lightweight sports car, so even the least powerful engine could bring the Cerbera up to 290 km/h with a 0 to 60 mph time of 4.2 seconds. Tipping the scales at just 121 kg in a dry state, the AGP V8 was a feather among other 8-cylinders. Thanks to the flat plane crank, ITBs and other stuff, it was exceptionally responsive and made a ton of power on top of that. However, one must be cautious driving a Cerbera as its sharp steering, powerful engine and lack of electronic aids make it quite challenging to drive fast. Considering service and running costs, the AGP8 is a relatively rock-solid engine. It is important to look for a well-maintained example to avoid any potential problems in the future. Otherwise, mechanically speaking, the V8 doesn't suffer from major engineering failures. Parts are cheap, many of them coming off a Rover shelf. Don't get scared by louder cold engine noise. Short skirt pistons tend to slap around due to a different expansion rate. They quiet down when warmed up. TVR liked the idea of their own engine so much that soon a 6-cylinder was produced by Melling as well, with some interesting motorcycle engine features. Feel free to comment down below, would you want to hear the 6-cylinder story too? As always, massive thanks for watching and all the support. See you on the next one. Cheers!